Hi, I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation and welcome to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be doing a deep dive on Home Assistant notifications. We're going to take a look at using the notifications in the Home Assistant apps. We'll look at critical notifications and we'll look at text-to-speech notifications using a HACS add-on. We'll start by using the developer tools to manually trigger some notifications, and then we're going to move on to adding some notifications to our automation. So while I roll the intro, take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified when I release new videos each week. And let's get started. Now, notifications might not be the first thing that you think of when setting up your smart home, but there's a lot of use cases where I think that notifications might be invaluable. For example, if you have flood sensors under the washing machine or dishwasher, you'll want to set up some kind of notification if those get triggered. Or maybe you just want Alexa to tell you when someone rings the doorbell. Or if you're using Home Assistant as a security alarm, like in my earlier video, you would obviously want some kind of notification sent to you if the alarm gets triggered. And in this circumstance, it would also be beneficial for this notification to play an alert sound on your phone, even if you're like me and your phone is always in silent mode. All of these and more are achievable using notifications in Home Assistant, and we're going to take a look at a few examples as we go through. So for the first one, we're just going to use the developer tools here, and we're going to send a notification to a device that has the mobile app. In this case, I'm going to send the notification to my MacBook, which has the Home Assistant companion app installed. To do that in the developer tools, so we're in Home Assistant, I've gone to developer tools and I'm going to go to services. And the service dev tool allows you to call any available service in Home Assistant. So I'm just going to clear the alarm control panel alarm arm away, and I'm going to search for notify. And if I go through here, what I'm looking for is notify.mobile app Stuart's MacBook Pro. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to start by I'm going to skip over the message for now. I'm going to go for a title, and I'm going to just give it a title of HiveMind Automation. And we're going to create a message as well, and we'll give the message, welcome to the Hive. Those are pretty much the only parameters that we need to be able to send a notification to this device. If I now call the service, we have our alert has slid in from the top right hand corner in the macOS notification center there, and it's slid away. I can bring that back here and we see that we've got this notification here and we can dismiss it. Now what we could also do here is we'll go to notify dot, and I'm going to select notify persistent notification. Now what this is going to do for us, if we take a look in the service data, is I'm going to type in a message, and it's going to be welcome to the Hive, and title HiveMind Automation. Now what this is going to do when we call the service is you might have noticed that the badge next to notifications here went up by 1. If I click on the notifications, we'll see that we've got insecure secrets in core SSH. Don't worry about that. I'll dismiss that. But we also have the HiveMind Automation welcome to the Hive message in here. Now, because we use that as a persistent notification, if I click out of there, it is still going to be in there until I explicitly go and dismiss it. Now that might be useful if you wanted to perhaps have an automation that sets a message into the notifications on startup of Home Assistant to give you an idea of whether or not your Home Assistant instance has reset in the last little while. So the next example that I want to take a look at is called a critical notification. These critical notifications will play a sound on your mobile device even when it is in silent mode. And there's some documentation for this on the companion app documentation site, and I will drop links to all of the required documentation in the video description below. So for this notification, I'm going to go back to notify dot, and this time I'm going to select the mobile app iPad, and that happens to be the iPad that I'm using as my teleprompter right now, but we do have the Home Assistant mobile app on there, so this will work perfectly fine. Now, the example that I would give here is perhaps you were using it for a home alarm, and so we'll type in the title home alarm, and in the message we can type in home alarm triggered. And if you wanted to go down the path of using templating, you could then also start adding some templates in here as well to pass through additional data that you wanted to add into the message. I'm not going to do that right now. Templating here is a topic for another video, but we will take a look at it in a future video. So we've got our message and we've got our title now. I could call that service and it would push the notification, but it's not going to play any sound. What I can do is tick the box for data here, and then I can add in this field here some additional YAML. So I'm going to put in push, and then we're going to, on the next line, indent 2 spaces, and we're going to add sound. And I'm going to then indent another 2 spaces in the next row down. We're going to put in name, and the name is default. And we're then going to put in critical, and this we're going to put in the number 1, as in a binary true or false. So 1 is true, which means that this is a critical alert. And then we can put in volume, and in this case I'm going to put 1.0. You can put in anything between 0.0 and 1.0. So for example, if I would put in 0.5, that would be roughly 50% volume. I'm going to put in 1.0 here, and then I'm going to call this service, and hopefully my mics will pick up the sound of the iPad chiming. And that has come up, and I can see on my iPad that I have got an alert. So you might use this in automations such as I mentioned before, a burglar alarm going off, or a smoke alarm detecting a fire, or even a flood sensor being triggered. So we've seen what critical alerts can do using developer tools, but how about using this in an automation? So what I'm going to do is go to YAML mode, and I'm going to copy all of this YAML to my clipboard, and we're going to then go to configuration, and I'm going to go to automations, and I'm going to add an automation here. So I'm then going to start with an empty automation, and we're just going to call it a critical alert. And for the trigger, I'm just going to go with state. And I'm going to find a button, and we'll go with doorbell button, and we'll go to on. So anytime the doorbell button goes to on, the action that I want is call service, and the service that I want is notify, and I'm going to send a notification via the mobile app iPad. And what I'm going to do is click on this drop down and go edit in YAML. And I'm just going to paste the YAML that I put in here before. And I'm going to change the title to doorbell and doorbell triggered. And I'm going to save that automation there. And instead of getting up and walking to the doorbell, I'm going to click run actions here, and hopefully we should then get a critical alert on our iPad there. Great, so now anytime someone rings the doorbell, we'll get that critical alert on our iPad. So lastly, we're going to take a look at making our Amazon Echo announce when someone rings the doorbell. For that, we're going to need to install a custom component into Home Assistant before we can do that, called Alexa Media Player. So we will head over to HACS and we'll go into integrations. We're going to click on Explore and Add Repositories. And the third item down here is Alexa Media Player, but you could also search for Alexa there. And we'll click on Alexa Media Player. And then we're going to install this repository in HACS. And we're going to click Install. Okay, and if we scroll down, we'll see that we've got Alexa Media Player installed, but it is pending a restart, and so we're going to need to do that before we can proceed with setting it up. So we'll go back over to configuration and we'll go to server controls. We'll check our configuration just because we can, and we'll restart Home Assistant Core. Okay, so Home Assistant is starting back up. We'll just dismiss that there. We should now be able to go to configuration and then integrations and click on add integration down here. And hopefully if we search for Alexa, there we are, we've got Alexa Media Player and we will click on that. Okay, so it is installed and we can now start setting it up. So I'm going to type in my credentials for Amazon. I'm going to put in .au here at the end. Now our URL to access Home Assistant, if we are on the Nabucasa cloud, we could put that in here, or also our external URL if we're using the Duck DNS setup. I'm going to set all of this stuff up here. We have the built-in 2FA app key. Now, if you do have two-factor authentication enabled on your Amazon account, you will either need to set this up or annoyingly re-log into your Amazon account on this every about 28 days. I'm going to untick the use login proxy method and we're going to set all of this up. I'm also going to put in my 2FA app key. You can do this on the Amazon website. When you create your two-factor authentication key on the Amazon site, there's a button that says can't scan the QR code. If you click that drop down, you can then copy and paste a very long key. So what I'm going to do is fill out all of these fields here, and then I will hit submit. We're not going to include or exclude any devices here because this particular account I only have the one Echo Dot assigned to. So I will fill this out and we will hit submit. Because I've inserted the 2FA creation key there, we have a box here that we need to confirm the one-time passcode is correct, and we're going to tick the box and hit submit, and it's going to ask me for a couple of different options. So one-time password method, I'm going to go with number 2, and I'm going to hit submit. And we have success. It has created the configuration for our Amazon account and it's found our Echo Dot here. And I'm going to put that in the dining room. So we'll hit finish. And now we have Alexa Media Player here. So now if I head back to our developer tools and I can go to notify, and we now have this new notify.alexa media. And so I'm going to select that here. And I'm going to go back to UI mode and we might just refresh this page. There we go. So we've got our UI items here. And what I'm going to do is click on this drop down. We'll go back to YAML mode and I'm going to fill example data because it makes it a little bit easier for us to get everything working. Now with these Alexa media announcements, we can remove the title row here and we just need to create a message. So welcome to the Hive. So for the purposes of a demonstration, I have popped back over to my production instance, which I know that the Alexa media integration is working. And so we're going to just take a quick look at how I use this in my setup. Yeah, and this is all production. So we have, we're in developer tools in services. We have a service notify.alexa_media. We have our data, and our message is welcome to the Hive. We've got a target, and we've got our media player _dining room echo plus, which is behind me to my left. And if we wanted to here, we could also add in media _player dot office _echo _dot. So then we've got another data flag, and our type inside the data flag is TTS. And what that does is just a simple text to speech call. So if I call that service,
welcome to the Hive,
the echoes speak the text that I have put into the message. The other thing we can do here, if we change the type to announce, is we actually call this using the announce parameter, and we can click this button.
welcome to the Hive,
And we get that chime before the announcement. Now, it does seem to do a little bit of best effort there with the announce function if you're using multiple targets, where it will attempt to synchronize the speech there. So I think if you're doing 3 targets, it starts to drift a little bit, but at least with 2, that works pretty well. So what we'll do is we will take a look at using this in production, and I will head back over to configuration. And remember that this is my production instance. We'll head to automations, and we have the announce on doorbell press, and it's currently disabled. So I'm going to click on edit here, and I'm going to enable it, but we'll take a look at how this works. So if we scroll down through here, we've got our triggers is our binary sensor button. So that's our doorbell button, goes to on. So we've got no conditions here, and you could theoretically add conditions for only during times when you would normally be awake into here. What you might also consider doing with that is maybe you could have 2 automations where one automation will only trigger during certain hours, and that will be on all of your echo dots. And then outside of those hours, you could have that trigger on only the ones that are not in, say, kids' rooms, for example, if you have an echo dot in a kids' room. If we take a look at the actions section of the automation here, we simply have call service, notify Alexa media, where putting the message in here, someone is at the front door, and our data type is announce. And I will save that because I've changed the enable disable, and we'll run the actions, and
someone is at the door,
and we get the automation there. Now, if we open this up in the YAML editor, you'll see that we also have the targets listed in here, and we're listing all of the media player echoes that we have available in our Home Assistant instance here. Now, with this service call or even the automation, you can have Alexa say just about anything. Just bear in mind that Alexa does bleep out naughty words. There are tricks around that, but I'm not going into that in this video. So this automation might be particularly useful if perhaps your door chime isn't particularly loud, but you have multiple echoes around the house. So we've taken a look at pushing notifications to mobile devices. We've set up an automation to push a critical alert to our mobile device in case of emergency. And we've also set up an automation to have our Amazon Echo devices announce when someone rings the doorbell. There are also actionable notifications available to be pushed from Home Assistant, but that is going to be a topic of a video all by itself because there is quite a bit of setup involved for that. That is all the time we have for this video, and I do hope that it helped you in your home automation journey. Be sure to comment down below with home automation ideas you'd like to see me cover in a future video, and let me know what notifications you're planning to set up in your smart home. If you liked this video, hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like, and if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing now. While you're at it, hit the bell icon to get notified when I release new videos each week. Lastly, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to help to support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description down below. Contributions through Buy Me a Coffee are put towards making more and better content for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stu from Hive Mind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.